Hi everyone, Liane here. I hope you're doing well. I am coming at you from Colorado. Our family is on spring break. I'm still recovering from an injury, so I am taking advantage of this really lovely quiet time to do an ink swatch comparison. I had a viewer who was really interested in seeing maybe like an ink comparison to, where is it? Lennon Toolbar's Wolfberry. And so what I ended up doing was, instead of bringing all of my inks, I took little samples of them, put them in these little ink wells. I got this from Design House, I believe. I'll put their Etsy shop on a screen and also provide it in the link below. And it came with this ink vial holder as well. So I brought the little samples. One of them unfortunately leaked and I can't quite figure out which one it was. I'm guessing it's probably number 6 just because it's the one that got stained the most. So that's my guess. Let's see here. So I brought 8 inks total. Actually, this one, I think I'm just going to swatch it just to see how it compares. So I have 8 inks, and I also wrote it down here. Number 1 is Lennon Toolbar's Wolfberry. Number 2 is Diamine Peach Haze. Number 3 is Yoseka Ceramics Qing Shan Red. Number 4 is Diamine Terracotta. Number 5 is a J. Herbin Rouge Caroubier. Number 6 is Diamine Vermillion. This one that has no number is Diamine Red Robin, and this last one is Ink Institute Cat at Noon. I brought my glass teaspoon. I got this on Amazon, and I've been using the handle to create little cloud ink swatches. And this is a new glass pen. This is from Seattleite. Seattleite, it means to smile in French, and it is a glass tip pen made by an artist, Rika Suga, and she is an artist based in Japan. And so this wood, the reason why I got this pen is because it has a wood handle, and I just like the feel of wood in my hands. It's got more of like a texture that I can hold on to, because glass pens are just kind of more slippery in my opinion. So this just is it's very pleasant to hold. So I'm going to be testing out this dip pen. I have my Hobonichi A5 plain notebook. This is the Tomoe River paper. Got my Traveler's Company, my Traveler's Notebook brass clip, and I think that's it. So why don't we go ahead and get started. Ink number 1, this is Lennon Toolbar Wolfberry. As you can see, it's a beautiful orange red, slightly muted. I mean, not muted, but it's not as saturated. Oh, I think it's just so lovely. It's like a less saturated, kind of muted orange red ink. And that's what I love about Wolfberry. And turns out Wolfberry is another way to call goji berries. Okay, I'm just dipping my glass pen in a little bit of water just to clean it out. Okay, I'm gonna get my little raindrops. Oh, this is a bit of a broader glass dip pen. So you could see kind of how dark it'll get if you have it in more saturated, or if you have like a wetter or like a juicier pen. This is Lennon Toolbar. And right off the bat, I like the way that this feels. It feels like it's already broken in. There isn't any sharp or rough tipping on this glass. It feels like it just flows and it writes smoothly. And there is a bit of a feedback, which is also nice. We have the washing or the dishwasher running right now, so excuse any sort of background noise you might hear. Okay, so this is Lennon Toolbar Wolfberry. But as you can tell, you can just see how beautiful this orange red is. Yoseka, I purchased it from Yoseka Ceramics or from Yoseka Stationery. They were sold out, and then it looks like they just replenished their inventory. But for a while, it was sold out and not available anywhere. So that was really the big reason why I wanted to do an ink comparison for those of you who just weren't able to get yourself a sample or a bottle of it if you were interested. Okay, number 2 is Diamine Peach Haze. We'll see how this one compares. Oh, does not compare. But I'm glad I'm swatching it anyway. This reminds me of like that coral ink from J. Herbin. It also reminds me a little bit of Pilot Iroshizuku Fuyugaki, and it's very neon when comparing it to Toolbar Wolfberry. Wow, they do not compare. This is not muted. It is definitely more saturated. Okay. Oh, I'm really enjoying this glass pen. Diamine Peach. I don't think there is anything hazy about this ink whatsoever. Yeah, I would probably compare this ink. It's closer of a match to Pilot Iroshizuku Fuyugaki than Lennon Toolbar Wolfberry. Okay, next up, ink number 3 is Yoseka Ceramics Qing Shan Red. Oh wow, I really jammed it in this ink vial holder. Okay, now I think this one is going to be a better ink swatch or like an ink dupe, but we shall see. Oh yeah. Very lovely. As a wet writing, as like a wet ink swatch, it looks a little bit more orange than Wolfberry. But it does have that lovely sort of like a muted, less saturated quality as Wolfberry. Oops, ceramics. Looking at this writing sample and the ink swatch, it kind of reminds me of like the ancient copper ink comparison video that I recently did. Okay, so that is Yoseka Ceramics Qing Shan Red. Number 4, Diamine Terracotta. Mind you, these are all inks that I've never swatched together, so we shall see. And these are recently new inks as well. Okay, this is Diamine Terracotta. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, this reminds me of Diamine Cherry Sunburst. Oh, this looks very similar to Wolfberry. Okay. Oh yeah. Wow, this looks, I mean, I would say these 3 inks so far look very similar. Okay, this is beautiful. Another ink that I would swatch side by side with Ancient Copper. This also reminds me of Kobe Arima Amber. Lovely, this is beautiful. This is now, as it's starting to dry, a little bit of a darker version of Lennon Toolbar Wolfberry. And now as I'm thinking about it, I wish I had Diamine Cherry Sunburst because I think that would be a comparable ink to Wolfberry. because Diamine Terracotta reminds me a lot of Cherry Sunburst. Okay, now next is ink number 5. This is going to be J. Herbin's Rouge Caroubier. The English translation would be Carob Red. I've noticed with the inks, with the Herbin inks that I've tried, they're all more muted, less saturated, so I imagine this will be the same. Oh, quite bright. It is less saturated. Oh, beautiful. This is Rouge Caroubier, Carob Red. Wow, so far what I'm noticing is what you see online, all the ink comparisons, when you think they might look similar to another ink that you already have, and when you actually swatch them, you see how different they are. So you definitely want to do your research, or you just run the risk of getting an ink that you didn't expect. So anyway, I'm hoping that my swatching and these sorts of comparison videos are helpful for those of you who are interested in how these inks compare, and it helps you in your decision-making process when you are looking for an ink like Lennon Toolbar Wolfberry. So far, Rouge Caroubier and Diamine Peach Haze are definitely not similar inks whatsoever, not similar at all. Okay, number 6 is Diamine Vermillion. I'm hoping this will be a similar ink, similar looking ink. Wow, looking already, I don't know if I have enough space to swatch all 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We shall see. Oh, this looks to be, it looks to be more orange than that sort of muted red, orange, brown that Lennon Toolbar's Wolfberry has, but looking at it now, it looks a little bit more muted. It's like a muted version of Peach Haze. Well, I tried to find inks that were similar to Wolfberry, and I'm finding that it's very hit or miss here. Beautiful color nonetheless. So this is Diamine Vermillion. Okay, gorgeous. I have room for just one more. So instead of Ink Institute Cat at Noon, I'll do this on a separate notebook just so at least you can see how it compares. I've got that. I'm actually going to use Diamine Red Robin because this was an ink purchase that I got around the same time as Wolfberry, and I thought they were very similar, but I've never done a side-by-side comparison, so we shall see. It's Diamine Red Robin. Oh, very lovely. I think this is a very close dupe for Wolfberry. Okay, what do you think? Wow, well, I tried my best. I tried my best to find inks that I thought were very similar to Wolfberry. And it looks like there are some that kind of come a little close, but I don't think I found an actual ink twin for Wolfberry. Looking at it right now, Qing Shan, Yoseka Ceramics, Diamine Terracotta, not really. So Yoseka Ceramics, perhaps Diamine Red Robin would be the closest. But as I really think about it, I would say Yoseka Ceramics Qing Shan Red is probably the closest ink twin to Wolfberry. These two inks in particular remind me of other inks very similar to Diamine Ancient Copper. Diamine Red Robin, I think, would be a little bit more red leaning compared to Ancient Copper, so it wouldn't have been in my Ancient Copper ink comparison video, but I think these two particularly, and I think even Wolfberry would have been a really neat comparison. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to swatch these inks on a different type of paper just to see. Not all of them, but at least the ones that I think come closest. And in the meantime, why don't I also swatch Ink Institute Cat at Noon? Okay, I have my journal here. There are a few days where I hadn't journaled, so I can use those pages. This was an ink vial. It's a sample that I got from Melissa from Skydyed Ink. Okay. Definitely not an ink dupe. Oh, this is a very, very desaturated ink, very pastel-like. Okay, well, I'm glad I didn't swatch this on that same page because it really doesn't look anything at all like Wolfberry. Okay. Okay, definitely not. Okay, well, I'm glad I gave that a try. Okay, so let's do Lennon Tool Bar Wolfberry. Very lovely. This is Diamine Red Robin. Okay, I'm gonna let these inks dry and then I will come back and do a close-ups and first impressions. Okay, some time has passed and let me make sure I'm within frame here. So I think the conclusion is that I couldn't really find an ink in my, at least within my collection, that is comparable to Wolfberry. The one that I think might come closest would be Yoseka Ceramics, followed by Diamine Terracotta, which is definitely a bit darker. I would think Diamine Red Robin is also similar, but not an ink twin, that's for sure. They're all pretty standard inks. They don't really sheen. Diamine Red Robin has a little bit of like a darker sheen in the more pooled areas. So does Diamine Terracotta. But aside from that, they're all your standard inks. No sheening, there's no shimmer. Peach Haze, I think, would have the least amount of shading in addition to Caroubier from Herbin. There is a little bit of shading in Red Robin, a little bit in Vermillion, a little bit in Terracotta, definitely in Yoseka Ceramics. There's some shading in Wolfberry, but nothing too prominently shading. But I think these cloud ink swatches look really beautiful. I mean, look at Diamine Vermillion, Diamine Red Robin, and Terracotta. This is a very diamine rich ink page today. And then I also have on the Sanzen Tomori River paper, just the written swatches using my glass dip pen. And looking at the swatches here, you can tell the rest of, so Wolfberry doesn't have that sort of dark tipping when you look at the sheen. Like the more pooled areas, they develop like almost like a black sort of sheen or like tipping. Whereas with the Wolfberry, it looks pretty flat. There isn't any sort of like dark tipping. So I don't know if that's something that you can catch on camera. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was a really helpful and informative ink comparison video. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.